This one is about going back to basics and understanding exactly what home staging is and what home presentation for sale is as part of that. Because what's happening, I find, is that there's a lot of people out there who don't actually understand what they're getting for their money. And it was brought home to me by someone this week who I had two amazing experiences on opposite ends of the spectrum. And the first one was someone who got very upset and said, why are you charging me for something that other people are doing for free? And the other one was someone who chose me because they had heard so many good things about the work that I do. So it's really interesting where people are getting their information and how they're understanding it in this day and age and what it all actually means. So I want to help you understand in this Q&A what is home presentation for sale, what is home staging, and what it is not. Because it's really important that you know what you're getting. If you're going to be paying money or if you're doing it yourself, you really need to understand where the dollars are in your home for sale. And it brings me back to my own journey because I actually spent about 7 years learning about property. One of the things I wanted to do, I worked for not-for-profits during the day, for charitable organisations. But I really wanted to make some money on the side. So what I decided to do was that I was going to learn about property and property investing. And if you know my story of the first home that I actually presented for sale, I had no idea what I was doing. But I was able to make $18,000 more on that property in 3 weeks. So that was quite, for me, that was like a lottery win. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realise, that it is the difference between the $5 ticket that gives a $5 return and the lottery ticket, the $5 ticket that brings you $20,000 or more. So I'm going to talk a bit about that return on investment and how do you find it and what's it look like? How do you recognise it when you see it? So one of the things that I noticed when I was going into homes for sale, and when I say that I went into hundreds and hundreds of open homes, that didn't mean that I was like this stealth person going in quietly and just looking around. I was actually studying property investing at the time, so I would go into homes as part of my research because I'd bought a couple of properties and I really never ended up with a very large portfolio, but I had some amazing learnings during that time. And what I would do is go in and I would look at the home on the basis of my learnings, and I had some other friends and people who were also on this journey with me. So we used to go together and we'd look at a whole bunch of homes, and you know, it'd be quite an adventure for us and trade ideas and learn a lot along the way. So one of the things that I did though was I talked to agents. So every time I went into a home, I would put my name down on the list of people going in. And I really wanted to talk to the agents afterwards because I wanted to understand more about that suburb and what was happening there and what was the price point, what were the things that I was actually looking out for that were going to make money in a home for sale for myself and my other investor friends. So we, you know, as I say, I did it hundreds and hundreds of times. So I spoke to agents, I researched markets, I researched individual homes. I was really looking for the thing that you don't want to be, the one thing, which is the person who doesn't realise the gold mine that they're sitting on, the person who has their chocolate bar and they don't open it to find the golden ticket inside. That's who I was looking for. And that sort of information really helped me when I decided to go into property styling, because that meant that I was able to help people understand what they needed to do to not be that person, to not be the person who's standing there not realising how much money they could be giving away. And at that time, there were a number of reasons why people were giving a lot of money away. Some people were embarrassed. They thought that they were taking advantage of the next person. that they were doing the wrong thing by somebody by presenting a home well. And the reality is, if you take the steps, and I now have a system that I use in my property styling and in every home that I do, and they're steps that I use so that I know I have covered all of the bases that are important for myself and my clients to make sure that they're getting as much as they can from the home. So let's talk about what to look for in a stylist if you decide to go down that path. And when I speak to people, there are people who don't know what they're looking for. Their agent has not recommended a stylist to them. They've actually said to them, don't worry, it won't make any difference. And there's a lot of reasons why agents will say that. And oftentimes it's just that they don't know themselves. They don't understand the subtlety that home staging can bring. And in fact, when they look at the results, even though the changes can be quite subtle, the results are quite dramatic. So that's one of the things I go in and do. So the reason that I charge for what I do is because I spent all of that time learning about what are those things that make the dramatic changes, and I continue to learn today. But the other reason is that I am giving value from the moment that I walk through the front door. So I say to people, you know, I charge you because if I can't make you an extra $5,000 in just the first 2 hours, then I have no right to be in your home. Certainly not as a property stylist. Certainly not as someone who is telling you how to find the best bang for your buck. And this is a very important distinction. You know, if you're looking at decorators and designers and stylists and you're thinking that they're all the same thing, well, they're not. A decorator is there to make a home, to make the home around you. A designer is there to create a space that is suitable for you and your family and your lifestyle. A stylist, a property stylist in a home for sale, is there to make you money, and that's their job. So when I walk into a home and you're paying me, I'm going to give you all of the information that all of those years, as well as the last 5 years of styling homes for sale and being in hundreds and hundreds of homes of home sellers and helping them prepare and present them for sale. So I'm going to give you that information, but the other thing is that I'm going to be... Thank you. Somebody's just given me a thumbs up. That's nice. I'm going to be in that home making sure that as we walk through and talk through, my client understands where the money is in their home as well. Now, if I'm not charging you for that consultation, then really all I'm doing is I'm going to keep my information to myself and I'm going to be doing a quotation for you. Now, if you have an occupied home and you think, if you have an occupied home and you think, oh, I just need a few pieces of furniture, stop. That is not what property styling is, and it's not what home presentation for sale is. It's just the wrong way to look at it. It's not about bringing in furniture. It's not about making the home look pretty. It is about making you money. And that is it. So whether we use your existing furniture, and it's about making you money, making your home as presentable to your target market as possible on whatever budget you're on. It's not necessarily making it into a home where I've seen homes that have been beautifully designed by designers. Are they suitable to their target market? It depends. And, you know, I've seen ones that they don't quite match because the home looks so beautiful that I'd be afraid to sit on a couch or, you know, actually feel comfortable in that home. So it's really important that when you choose someone that they actually have a portfolio of before and afters of homes for sale, that they have testimonials from people, from clients who have actually gotten a bang for their buck, who have gotten that result that they're looking for. And they also need to have a, you know, something that says that they have had more wins than losses. You can't always control everything. When you're a property stylist, there is price, presentation and marketing. Presentation comes under the marketing banner, but if you have clients who want top dollar, do not want to put signage on their home or spend on advertising, and do not want to spend on presentation, then you really are fighting against the odds. But what you can do for people who are, certainly for people who are elderly as well, who are living in their home, then your job is to make it extremely livable for those people, as well as extremely presentable for the marketplace. So when I teach people my system, or when I use it in Homes for Sale, I have 6 steps that I use, and it's called the E-class system. And the first one, I always evaluate the marketplace. So I always want to know who I'm styling for, who is their target audience, what do they look like, do I have an idea in my mind of exactly who those people are. And the only way that I've known to be able to do that is to go into open homes in that area, in that price point. The second part is C, cleaning and clearing. So I always say to people, pack first, then sell. So pack up everything. This is the first job to do. Pack everything up and then prepare it for the market, because you really want to get rid of a lot of those things that are very personal or very you, but aren't that new generation of buyer. And when I say a new generation of buyer, I actually mean that person who may be 20 years younger than you are. They're literally a new generation of buyer. Or they could be 20 years older than you are. You just, it just depends in different areas and in different markets. The second thing I do, and I have to tell you that this information is not based on my own personal experience. This is actually based on a 10-year study of between 500 and 2,000 real estate agents. Every year, they would give their opinion on what were the top 10 things people could do to make money on their homes. So, lightening and brightening, and when I talk about that, I actually include things like painting your walls, like pruning your trees, like taking off those heavy curtains, making sure that you still have that privacy, but that your home is open and easy for viewing. Also the internal lighting. What sort of lighting is there within your home? How can you enhance that, and how are you going to make it make you money? Because all of these things in isolation, they don't mean anything if it doesn't make you money at the end of the day. If you're going to hang a piece of art in a fantastic location, but it's the wrong art and it does nothing to enhance your sale or to create appeal amongst your target audience, then there's no point in hanging that fabulous piece of art. But the thing about it is that if you understand who your target market is and you do the steps in this system, evaluate the market, clear away those things that you don't need. Cleaning is so important in a home for sale. All of these things suggest maintenance. Have you gotten your home ready? Lightening and brightening. This is about, as I said, curtains, painting, clearing the furniture, lighting the trees, taking away all of the darkness that could be in a room or in a home. And the next one is accessorizing. But this one is also about maintenance. It's about what are those jobs that need doing? What are those things that need fixing that you just can't get away from? And it doesn't matter how much you pretend they're not there. Actually, people will notice them, they will see them. So at this point, I always advise that people get their own property inspection. And the reason is, yes, it's going to cost you a couple of $100, but what it's going to do is it's going to tell you from a third-party professional opinion where those maintenance issues lie in your home and where are the ones that are going to be stumbling blocks. So if you have an issue where it might be something fairly simple for you to fix, but a buyer is going to see it as a bargaining tool, you want to get that fixed before that buyer comes through the door, because every time they notice something that needs to be done, they're just discounting, taking dollars off, or they're dismissing your home. The next one, and accessorizing. So this is where you get to have the fun. You get to start looking at what things stay and what goes. What, are all of those things in your home, all of the accessories that you have, are they going to make you money? And that's a question that you really need to start looking at your home through buyer's eyes. That's where you're paying that money for that professional to come through. So even though you might think all I need is a bit of furniture, that first consultation where you're paying for my knowledge and intelligence is actually about me saying, this should stay, this should go, that is of no value to you, here are the reasons why. And that is invaluable information that you can't get on your own. When I style homes, I have professional removalists. Hey, I could ask a group of mates to do it and it might be free. But am I sure at that stage that I am going to have everything arrive as I want, when I want, and that it's going to be a professional and proper job? Well, I can't guarantee that. And I also have people who are, who hang my art. And you might say, well, anybody can hang a piece of art. Not me. And the reason that I don't try to is because there are people who are professionals in that area. One of my early jobs, I had a professional come in and hang my art and mirrors. Overnight, one of the mirrors fell off the wall. Now you can imagine that if that mirror had shattered, if there was people there, if there was a child nearby, there are 100 different things that can happen with that. So I would never go into a home and attempt to hang artwork or mirrors or anything like that myself. The next part is styling. So I'm going to style it for sale. These are important words. Styling for sale. I'm not styling for myself. I'm not picking what I like, although I did that in my first home, and yes, I made some money on it, but nowadays your competition is a lot stiffer than that. You're not the only person who's styling the home in your street. You're actually one of many, and your job is, while it's to make the home stand out, it's also, when you walk into that home, it looks like the photos, that it looks like a representation of the home you're going to be living in. And it's really important that when people walk through the door, when potential buyers come in, they don't feel like they're going to get ripped off. They don't feel like, oh, you told me this was huge, this room, and now I'm seeing a room that's not as huge. This is a problem for me. You really need to try and, I'm not talking about underselling the property, but I'm talking about making sure that it looks the best that it can possibly look given your budget and your time frame. And these are really important factors, because in any market, you doing the best that you can with your home for sale is going to make a difference to your home. You doing what you want in your home for sale, who knows? And so that's why I have a system, and it's a system that I follow because I'm a creative person and there are things I love to do, but I'm not going to do it in your home for sale because I'm going to make sure that I follow the system that I know has been proven by thousands of real estate professionals over a 10-year period. And the last thing on my list is show ready. So what does it mean? This is a big deal for people with kids or families, or in fact anyone whose home's on the market. And I lived in my mum's home while it was on the market, and so I know that it is actually relentless having people come to the door. Who do you let in the door? You don't just let anybody in the front door of your home. You make them go back to the sign out the front of the house and you ask them to phone the agent and come through with them. This is about safety and security as well as being show ready for your agent. So what I do is I teach people how do they get their rooms and their homes ready in an hour. How do they get their whole house ready in an hour when the agent rings and says, I've got somebody coming through. And I've got to say, I did get caught with that once, where the agent rang and said, I've got someone coming through in half an hour, and I had washed all of the bed linen. So what I did was I styled all of these beds. They all had plain white doonas on them, put all the cushions on top, just tucked everything in, made it look really stylish and just like it had in the pictures, except there were actually no doona covers on there. After the agent had left, and I spoke to her and said, did you notice anything? She said, no, it all looked fine. I said, well, I didn't have any covers on the doonas. She said, no, we didn't notice. And the thing is that, yes, you can get away with some of those little things sometimes, but it's because you have done everything else that you need to do to get your home prepared and presented for sale.